This is Elliot Schwartz behind the camera at EISBOX Projects. We're presenting the work of the architect Stan Allen, Field Conditions Maribor, October 7, 2010.
Hi, I'm Stan Allen, and I'm here at EISBOX Projects with its director, Elliot Schwartz, to talk a little bit about the work that we're showing here in the exhibition. Now, for an architect, doing an exhibition is a bit of a dilemma, because the one thing you actually can't put in the gallery is architecture. Instead, what we tried to do with this exhibition is to give a sense of the way we work in the studio and show really a variety of the different ways that we visualize and study a project. This project is a competition for a new contemporary art gallery in Maribor, Slovenia. It was a competition which unfortunately we did not win, but we really wanted to take an opportunity to get all the work out because it's a project we actually like very much. So the work that we're showing ranges from early organizational diagrams. We study the project with computer visualizations, which allow us to do renderings, give a feel for the interior space of the gallery. We study the structural system by the means of the same computer models. And then we also use them to collage the project into the site. The other important piece that we're looking at here is an animation that shows some of the logic of assembly, or in this case, the disassembly of the project, that allows you to understand the sort of part-whole relationships that we're talking about here. Now, I mentioned the program for this project is an art gallery. It's interesting because the first things I ever built as an architect 20 years ago, in fact, were art galleries, small-scale galleries in the city. So it was a great opportunity to sort of revisit that thematic, but within the context of a larger, more ambitious building. So you see the way in which there are individual units in the project, each one coming down onto this very sculpted concrete column, and that allows tall gallery spaces for special installations, and then with the mezzanine floor we create space on the upper level for the permanent collection. That it tends to be smaller scale work, but it gets you up under these very tall clear story lights and gives you a very different experience of the gallery. This is a view of the project in context, and a lot of the logic and thinking of the project really did emerge out of the context itself. And I think if we move into this other room, we can talk a little bit about the relationship of the building to its context. And there are two ways to do that. One is with this large-scale site model that allows us, when we're working on the project, to see the relationship between the building and the immediate surroundings, including the frontage on the river Drava, the river Drava being one of the really important features on this site. We've also collaged the project into this long panorama that also gives you a little bit of a feel for the texture of the city of Maribor. It's a very beautiful city in the mountains in Slovenia, and our site was located immediately outside of the historic center of the city. And in particular, this sloping roof profile is something that we paid a lot of attention to. So this really for us was the dilemma of the project. The competition brief was calling for a very new, very progressive, forward-looking institution that had to have a kind of singular identity in the city. Had to be something that would be visible and new. But at the same time, we were working in this really very beautiful and very nearly intact historical context. This building here marked the corner of the historic city walls, and this was a market square just outside of the city walls. So somehow we wanted to complement that historic center. And we had really two strategies for doing that. One strategy has to do with the parcelization, the block and lot size of the existing historic city. The fundamental unit that we used to build up the project is exactly proportioned to the size of the historic blocks within the city. The other thing we did, obviously, is to try and echo the roof profile of this very characteristic tiled roof that people identify with Maribor, but to do it in a way that's completely modern. It's not a sort of sentimental historic recall. It works with the new program, and it works with the new building technologies that we employed in this project. So just to show a little bit of the way that the building is actually working in the site, by lifting the building up onto these columns, and here you can see the imprint of the pentagonal units that are the fundamental building block of the project. We create public spaces, and we allow the public to really move through in a very open way on the ground floor of the building. But then as you move up into the gallery levels, you can see that there are very open spaces. The space flows between the different galleries. There are large enough spaces with very tall ceilings for big pieces of sculpture. But at the same time, the measure of that unit is kind of imprinted on the space, and it gives it a kind of rhythm that we think is really necessary in a kind of museum space like this. You don't want just a big kind of undifferentiated space. You want a space with a kind of measure and a rhythm that the artwork inside can play off against. Just moving around the room, this is an axonometric of the project in context, where again you can see the kind of texture of the roof, the way it recalls the historic city, and you can see the public spaces that are created that are big enough for public gatherings, but also not going to overwhelm the scale of the historic city. I think that we spent a lot of time actually working with our structural consultants, trying to understand how we could lift up this heavy body of the building and then bring the structure down in a way that wouldn't interfere too much with the ground floor space. And another thing that we were very happy with in the way the project turned out is the way that the individual units begin to form a kind of continuous web of structure on the ground floor. This is an axonometric from a worm's eye perspective, looking up at the building. And so really, I guess to move back out from the kind of interior detail of the galleries here, you can see this is the mezzanine gallery, which would be the permanent collection, the smaller scale work. A view from the city, from the waterfront terrace, as you move up and then into those public spaces. And then this one that hopefully shows the sort of life of the building and its effect on the city. This could be a place where there would be festivals and concerts and events that would really keep the site active at all hours of the day. So it's really the mix of all these different forms of studying a project, of looking at a project, that these are the devices that we use as part of our studio practice to study and design the project. And by assembling them together in this exhibition, putting the drawings, the renderings, the panorama, the models together, the visitor hopefully can put together a feel of the experience of the building and imagine what it might be like to be there in reality. So, thank you.
Thank you, Stan.